The second season of 2025 is going live for this next patch, which means Summoner's Rift is going to be decorated in a completely new theme as we're shifting from Noxus to Spirit Blossom. And on top of this, Void, Grubs, Rift, Herald, and Atakhan, they're all seeing adjustments, while a bunch of champions are being changed as well. So this is definitely one of the bigger patches we've seen all season. So as always, we're going to have the complete rundown of everything you can expect to hit live servers for patch 25.9, which is set to drop this upcoming Wednesday, April 30th. And to get ahead of everybody else in Season 2, mastering your champion is going to be incredibly important, as it's going to boost your win rate by a massive 9% on average. Now that's why at Skill Capped we offer Smurf commentaries. Simply just select that champion that you want to master, and you're going to get guides from challenger experts teaching you how to play your champion and the exact rank you're stuck in. After that, take any of our wildly popular exclusive courses that teach you the secrets to carrying as a top laner, jungler, mid laner, AD carry, and support. And it really doesn't stop there either. We have courses on macro, wave control, trading, setting and hotkeys, CSing, vision, mechanics, low elo mistakes, and the list goes on. The best part is you can try all of it out completely risk-free, since if you don't rank up while you're actively using Skill Capped, you get your money back and we don't even ask questions about it. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below right now to get the rank you've always dreamed of. So let's start off this video by taking a quick look at all the new skins that's going to be releasing in 25.9. Now, since it is a Spirit Blossom themed map, we've also got a new line of Spirit Blossom themed skins, as Ashe, Bard, Aurelia, Ivern, Lux, Varus, and Zyra. They're all going to be receiving one. Now, of course, Lux is going to be receiving the Prestige skin, as Riot's going to be able to milk the most amount of money off of her. One other skin that's not related to the Spirit Blossom line is being released as well, and it's Pool Party Twitch. So here's what the map is going to be looking like for Season 2, as it's got the Spirit Blossom theme, so a much more bright and a colored theme than what we got for Season 1 with Noxus. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the darker theme is honestly getting a little bit stale to look at, so freshening it up with a little bit more of a colorful theme is really going to be a welcomed addition, at least to me. So there's a new role binding feature that's going to be added to the game for Season 2, which will affect both jungle and support players. For jungle, if you're assigned to the role in Champion Select, you're going to automatically load into the game with Smite as one of your summoner spells. In addition, players who have not been assigned jungle will not be able to take Smite. Smite users will now be required to equip a jungle item in order to unlock other items in the shop, and jungle items can no longer be resold to the shop. Now, as for support, when you load into the game, you're going to automatically purchase the World Atlas starting item without having to manually buy it yourself. And players who have not been assigned support, you're no longer going to have access to the World Atlas starting item. So a change that's going to be more than welcomed for the start of Season 2 is an improvement to Riot's griefing detection. Man, am I excited about this. Riot has stated that they have made significant improvements to detect cheaters, griefers, and enters for 25.9. They won't reveal exactly how that detection system works, but one example they gave is if you just try and run around in your base to try and prevent being detected for AFK, it's no longer going to work. From the testing they've done already, Riot expects that with this new system, it's going to punish 10 times the amount of players than before. You know when you report somebody and you get that satisfying notification in the client when they end up being banned? Well, it's going to be even more satisfying in 25.9 because you're going to be able to see the account's name and tag that was punished. Previously, you'd just be told that someone you reported was banned, but now you're actually going to know who that was. Champion kill bounties, they're going to be changed for this patch, as the base amount that a champion is worth on kill is going to be going up from 300 gold at all levels to 300, scaling to 420 gold based on level. Bounty suppression is now always going to apply at full effectiveness for the losing team instead of basing it on how bad your disadvantage was. On top of this, bounties will now accumulate and devaluate only after exiting champion combat. Yasuo players are going to be loving this next change, as the death screen will now be more interactive. There's a new ally spectate interface being added that includes buttons featuring the champion portraits of allies who are still alive. Now, clicking on one of those buttons will pan your camera and center it on that selected ally. Death screen will also be a little less gray in color than before, and death timer display is also being moved so that it's below the new menu instead of on the player's champion portrait. Ignite is going to see a buff for this patch, as it's going to scale better from level 6 onwards. Damage stays exact same pre-level 6, but it's up by 25 per level at level 6 onwards, as opposed to up by 20 per level on the current patch. Unflinching will be receiving an early game buff for this patch, as the resists that you receive after being movement impaired are going from 6 scaling to 12 to 10 flat. Rod of Ages has become an optimal rush item on so many champions recently, so Riot is nerfing it for 25.9. The health on Rod is dropping from 400 to 350, while the AP is going down from 50 to 45. So we finally have a nerf to Boots of Swiftness being issued, as the movement speed from the boots is dropping from 60 to 55. The Swift March upgrade is also being changed so that instead of granting you 4% bonus total movement speed, you'll gain adaptive damage equal to 5% of your total movement speed. Symbiotic souls are seeing a pretty big change for this patch, as the empowered recall is being removed but will remain on the upgrade. Instead, you're now going to gain a little bit more movement speed, going from 40 to 45. The tier 3 boots upgrade to Symbiotic souls, which is forever forward, will have its movement speed ratio lowered from 10 to 8%. And then for Spellslingers shoes, which is the boots upgrade to Sork shoes, the magic pin you receive is being reduced from 8 to 7%. We have a pretty simple yet pretty impactful buff to the Feats of Strength objective for 25.9, as the tier 3 boot upgrades are now going to be 250 gold cheaper, going from 750 to 500 gold. Biscuits are going to be adjusted for this patch so that you now heal for 20 flat plus 2% max health instead of 12% missing health. The heal is going to, however, be increased by 10% for every 7% missing health, maxing out at a 100% increase when you're below 30% health. Atakhan is being changed in a huge way for Season 2, as it's going to no longer have its Voracious and Ruinous forms and now just have one single form called Thornbound. Most of the mechanics and assets from Ruinous are going to be found on Thornbound. However, the base AD of Thornbound is going up from 75 to 100. So basically, the revive buff that you would get from Voracious Atakhan is completely gone, and so is the Crown of Carnage buff that you would get from Ruinous Atakhan. So when you take down Atakhan in 25.9, this is what you're going to get. All blood roses on the map are going to be automatically collected on behalf of your team. This is going to be a new buff that you receive for killing Atakhan called Spiritual Purification. Upon scoring a kill, you're going to gain a Spirit Petal. Spirit Petals will replace Bloody Petals when you have the Atakhan buff and grant you 25% bonus experience and adaptive damage. Not only will you gain a Spirit Petal when you kill an enemy, but the area around that enemy will explode, dealing damage to enemies within the area equal to 15% of their current health. Enemies hit will also be slowed by 60%. Void Grubs is going to be changed in a huge way for 25.9 as well, as they're now only going to spawn once, and the spawn timer is being moved back from 6 to 8 minutes. Since there's only one Void Grub spawn now, the Hunger of the Void buff that you would get for killing 4 and 6 grubs is being lowered from 4 to 3. So now you're only going to gain 1 Void Mite summon if you take down 3 of the grubs, as 2 Void Mites will no longer exist. The bonus damage to turrets from the Touch of the Void buff is being changed so that you're going to deal the same amount of damage for having killed 2 grubs, but if you kill 3, it'll now be the same damage value as if you had killed 4 last patch. Since you can't kill a 4th grub anymore due to the second spawn being removed, if you would have got 5 or 6 grubs last patch, the damage from the buff would be more significant than if you had gotten the max of 3 grubs for 25.9. With the Void Grub spawn timer moving back 2 minutes, Herald's spawn timer is actually being reduced from 16 minutes to 15 minutes. It's now going to be much easier to kill Herald if you're the only one hitting it, as you're going to no longer deal 50% reduced damage if Herald has attacked you in the past 8 seconds. Herald's swipe ability that can deal a good chunk of damage won't be hitting as hard anymore, as its AD ratio is being lowered from 300 to 125% AD. So moving on to all the champion changes, Riot has really missed the mark on the Annie adjustments from last patch, so they have a few buffs for her in 25.9. Q damage is being increased from 70 scaling to 210 to 80 scaling to 240. W mana cost is dropping from 90 scaling to 110 to 70 scaling to 90. And then our passive magic pin is going up from 10 scaling to 15% to 15 scaling to 20%. Ashe is going to be receiving a few minor buffs for this patch, as her Q-AD ratio is going up from 111 scaling to 135% to 110 scaling to 140%. Q attack speed is up as well from 25 scaling to 65% to 25 scaling to 75%. K'Sante is getting a straight damage buff to his W, as the base is going to be going up from 40 scaling to 120 to 45 scaling to 165. Riot has a few buffs in the pipeline for Leona, as her passive duration is up from 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. Q mana cost is dropping from 35 to 30, while E mana cost is down from 60 flat to 40 scaling to 60. Morgana is actually getting some pretty significant buffs for this patch, as her E shield is going up by 20 at all ranks. R damage is being increased by 25 at all ranks, and then R bar movement speed is up at rank 1 and rank 2 in the spell. Orianna is getting a buff to her Q mana cost for 25.9 as it's dropping from 30 scaling to 50 to just 35 at all ranks. Shen is getting buffed for the third straight patch in a row as his Q percent max health damage is being increased from 4 scaling to 6% to 5 scaling to 7%. So onto the champion nerfs now. First up, we have Gwen, who's going to be losing some armor scaling for this patch. Passive monster damage is being lowered as well, with the AP ratio going down. Q repeat snip damage is also taking a hit, going from 5 to 2% AP. Despite being a bottom tier ADC for solo queue, Kalista is getting nerfed due to pro play for the billionth time. Base health is going down from 600 to 580. Base AD takes a hit, going from 59 to 57. AD growth is up, however, from 3.25 to 4, and E base damage is dropping by 5 at all ranks. Naafiri is going to be nerfed for 25.9 as her W cooldown is being increased by a whole 4 seconds at rank 1, going from 22 up to 26. E damage bonus AD ratio is dropping as well from 50 to 40%. And then Yorick is the final champion being adjusted, with the damage his Mistwalkers take being increased by 100 to 150%.
Okay guys, one last thing. Our rank up guarantee is absolutely insane. It's kind of like signing up for the gym and then just getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in Skillcapped. We obsess over making the best guides with the top players, the rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb as easy as possible. If you're ready to level up, just visit skillcapped.com and literally see the difference.
So there you have it, everyone. Those are every one of the changes that Riot has planned to release for 25.9, which drops on Wednesday, the 30th of April. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.